There is one debate in Indian history that is titled left versus right. It is assumed that there are historians belonging to the right and historians belonging to the left. Also assumed is that those belonging to the left are the people who wrote the current mainstream history. So, the present history is more or less called leftist history, and the right wants to rewrite it. So, it is this debate we are going to examine now. It is true that right is right, but my point is we should examine whether the left is actually the left. I have some reservations in calling the so-called left the left. So let us explore that point. What actually is the left? What does it mean in history? One trend that the leftist historians follow is giving primacy to class. Because Marx believed that conflict between the classes is the source of historical change, and communism is ending of the conflict. So Marx gave primacy to the understanding of class. So leftist writing means giving primacy to the class analysis. So that Indian historians partly did it. Maybe that is the reason why some of them or many of them are called left-leaning. Second thing is Marx's attitude to religion. Religion to Karl Marx is an opium of the masses. What did he mean by opium? He meant something that is distracting the people from understanding the real truth. The real truth being class-based exploitation, and the solution being the ending of the class system. But instead of doing that, people chase religion, escape to religion. So Marx believed religion is not serving a positive role. It is drawing away the people from the reality. So that is Marx's view of religion. So what did Indian historians do? Well, they ignored religion. We were discussing Hindu-Muslim conflict. They, instead of seeing it in terms of Hindu-Muslim conflict, they try to see in terms of economic interests, political interests, rather than there are real issues on the basis of identity. So, in fact, they used class analysis, they used economic analysis to sideline, undermine, to ignore religious conflict. But in a country where religious identities are playing a very important role, How can ignoring it be right? Marx may have called religion as an opium, but when people are behaving as addicted, and when lot of phenomena can be explained in terms of the religious conflict, community conflict, how can a historian simply ignore that? How is that Marxism? So, I don't think ignoring religion and looking at things only in terms of classes, when religious identities are playing a very important role, as in India, is Marxism. Because after all, one should pay attention to the reality. Ignoring it can't be Marxism. Okay. Third thing is more important. That is about attitude towards nationalism. This we have been discussing in detail. Let us discuss first what is Marx's attitude to nationalism. Marx did not glorify nationalism. He believed nation is like any other identity that can be used against the working classes. So how does he explain the struggles of certain nations for self-determination? Marx's approach is revealed in his position on Ireland. Ireland was seeking independence from England. Okay, what did Marx say on this issue? Marx said that Ireland should be independent. That is number one. Number two, what did he say about working classes in England? Marx believed the working classes in England should not side with the ruling classes of England in denying independence to Ireland. He said working classes in Ireland should be on the same page as the working classes of Ireland, in the interests of not only the people of Ireland, but in the working class interests of everywhere, including those in England. So, it means Marx didn't respect the nationalism that the ruling classes of Ireland might preach to the working classes. Okay. So to Marx it appeared nationalism of England is not just to the working class, whereas the nationalism of the Ireland is good for the working classes. It is this idea that Lenin develops elaborately. Lenin classifies nations in terms of the nations that are oppressing others and the nations that are being oppressed. So Lenin takes the position that nationalism for a nation being oppressed is good. It works for the welfare of the people and the working classes. But nationalism of the oppressed nation is bad. So the working classes should rebel against such nationalism. So Marx and Lenin put together, what becomes clear is that nation or nationalism is not the final goal of people. It is only an intermediary thing. It is an intermediary concept. A concept that should promote working class movement all over the world. A concept that should lead to establishment of just society in the world. Nationalism is not an end. It is only a means towards justice, means towards creation of a classless society. Okay. But now examine what Indian historians did. Did they take any such position? Did historians say that nation is only the means towards justice, and justice lies beyond the national borders? They didn't say any such thing. Did they speak or did they stand for the rights of the people who are seeking self-determination in the border regions of India? They didn't. Did they speak about human rights violations committed in the name of nationalism? They didn't. So, Indian historians took nation very seriously. So how can they call themselves Marxists? So when they are being labeled as Marxists and nationalists, it is ridiculous. One can't be a Marxist and also at the same time be a nationalist. It is like dogmatic skeptics. How can there be dogmatic skeptics? So, Marxism and nationalism can't go together, because Marxists should know that nation is the means, and they know that nation is one more kind of a opium where powerful people or ruling classes dominate the other classes. So, the people who wrote Indian history cannot be called Marxists. They are simply nationalists of probably very vulgar kind, because nationalism that they taught doesn't give the feeling to the reader, a sense of justice. It gives to the reader a sense of identity and not justice. Take for example Lenin. Lenin said nationalism of the oppressor nation is different from the nationalism of the oppressed. Nationalism in colonial time is justified, because nationalism during colonial time is nothing but anti-colonialism and struggle for independence and freedom. But what is nationalism after the ending of colonialism? What does nationalism now mean? So that is what a Marxist should ask, and Indian historians did not ask. So others are calling them Marxists, and probably they are proud that they are Marxists, but they are not Marxists. They don't belong to the left. What they belong to or what they practiced is nationalism of very vulgar brand. Think about it. Thank you.